Hi friends! Today I'm going to be showing you how to use a palm thimble. This is also called a sashiko thimble, and what I have here is a 6 by 13 inch rectangle, so that's 15 centimeters by 33 centimeters. This is going to become one of these cute little patchwork pouches. If you don't want to do patchwork with a lot of stitching, you can also embroider it. It's a great base pattern. Um, and it's a free pattern on my website, so if you would like, you can go and download it. I will put a link in the description box below. And at the end of this video, I will also kind of show you some other palm thimbles and talk about sort of pros and cons. But let's get started. So I have a piece of sashiko thread. You can also use embroidery thread. You can use this sewing technique to also do hems and stitch things together, and it's really useful. This length of thread's about 24 inches long. I basically pinch the thread between my thumb and forefinger, measure it up to my arm, like upper arm, and then cut my piece of thread. Anything longer than that tends to get really tangled. Okay, so the basics that you'll want is a long needle. And this is a sashiko needle, which is, they're sturdier than regular needles, and this is just shy of 3 inches. And I don't have the centimeter conversion for that, so I am sorry. But yeah, so take your thread, put a knot in the end. The thimble is worn on your middle finger, and these are just needle grippers. I use these because it helps with hand fatigue, but you don't need to use these. But so you have this, you have your long needle, and the reason why you have a long needle is because it actually rests on that thimble. And then you hold the thimble between your thumb and your forefinger, and it rests right there. And you will take whatever you're stitching, and we're just going to be doing running stitch. You may want to practice on a single piece of kind of open weave fabric, or not a really densely woven cotton, because that tends to grab on the needle more, and when you're first learning, it's better not to have a lot of drag on your needle, because it'll help you get the hang of it. It will feel very awkward at first, but with practice it gets much easier. So resting, I'm going to put the needle in the fabric, and then what I'm doing is I'm actually gonna fold the fabric onto the needle while holding onto the needle and sort of feeding the fabric onto the needle by pulling it back with my thumb and forefinger. So there's sort of this rocking motion, and I'm just going to keep gathering. When you first start, I would suggest maybe 3 or 4 stitches, and then work up to 6 or 8. Depending on your fabric, you'll be able to gather more or less stitches. This is pretty thin fabric, so I'll be able to, I'm just gonna go ahead and gather all of it. And my stitches are about probably no more than 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. Okay, now that I have those gathered, I'm just gonna kind of push the fabric and the needle against that palm thimble gently. And then you pull the fabric off the needle. And then what I'm going to do is just sort of gently pulling, and I'm going to pull and pull, 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 pull. And then what I usually do is I like to work on a flat surface, and I'm going to gently tug that, and I'm going to push the stitches in the direction of the needle to flatten them out because we've gathered them. And then I do not pull the knot snug to the fabric. You always want to leave just a little bit of space. And what that does is the threads kind of need to find, they need a little bit of wiggle room. So now I'm just going to jog over a little bit, and I'm going to repeat, just folding the fabric onto the needle. And I like when my stitches are not even. And so you'll see variations in my stitches, and that is my style. That is what I like. If you once you've practiced this, you'll find that your stitches become very even very quickly, and you'll even start lining up your stitches. And so sometimes you have to pay attention to purposefully offset stitches. But okay, I'm at the end again, and I'm just gonna gentle push. Pull the fabric off the needle. I'm going to set this down again and just tug into about there. And I'm going to actually put my finger, I'm holding that little loop down, and now I'm going to push the thread in the direction that I just sewed to flatten it out. Another little trick you can do is hold it on either side and just give it a little wiggle, and that will help flatten it out. And yeah, so you just keep working in that fashion. And once you get comfortable, and then I'll show you again, all I'm doing is resting that needle on the thimble. I'm holding the fabric and the needle with my thumb and forefinger, and then with my other hand, so I'm going to back up my needle a little bit because that stitch is going to be too long. I'm just sort of pinching and folding, pinching and folding, and then this hand is just sort of sliding the fabric towards the right. And again, I'm just folding and pinching and holding. And if I wanted to stop here, I could stop there. And it's all up to you how many stitches you want to gather. And it is one of those where it will vary depending on the thickness or the weave of your fabric. You may be able to gather a whole bunch of stitches. Like this silk, for instance, here, I won't be able to gather as many stitches because the weave on it's really, really tight, and it's more comfortable to sew if you don't gather a bunch of stitches then. And in areas where I have two kinds of silk overlapping, I'll gather fewer stitches there for the same reason, because there's more drag, and so it's easier on my hands if I gather fewer stitches. So easy, right? Okay, I want to talk a little bit about a couple other palm thimbles I have. This is another leather palm thimble, and this is by Lemon Loom. Miranda makes these, and it's slightly different. It's kind of nice because it has this little notch here that can be helpful for kind of holding your needle in place. Both of these, the ones I make these, and they're both kind of sueded because I feel like it keeps the needle from slipping around, and so I find them very, very comfortable. The more you use them, the more they sort of fit your hand, and the elastic makes them adjustable and comfortable. This is one of the first palm thimbles I ever used, and it's a clover adjustable metal palm thimble. And the only issues that I find with these, I don't have a metal allergy, so that's not a problem, but the dimples, you can hear that, they're not really very deep. And if you don't get your needle sort of positioned just so, or if you happen to gather a few too many stitches, sometimes the eye of the needle will skid off of the metal. So that's like the only thing that I don't like about this metal palm thimble. although sometimes I do use it. I do find the leather ones more comfortable. And I will put links to these in the description box below. So if you want to look at them, and I'll also put a link to uh, a DIY sashiko that Zen Stitching makes. That if you have a scrap piece of leather, you can make your own. So that that is how to use a palm thimble. It's really, really easy. It will take you a little while to sort of find the rhythm to it, but once you get that rhythm, you're just gonna fly with your stitches, and it becomes very, very meditative with the way that you pass the needle through the fabric and then push the stitches flat. I think you'll really enjoy it. So I hope you enjoy that. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day.